So welcome to the podcast. I haven't sat in a podcast chair in like 3 years, but I've had a lot of things to say. Well, a podcast chair that I was governing for like 3 years, but I have a lot of things to say. My life has transformed a lot. I've gone from New York to California. I've gone from New York to Florida, and I'm a first time home buyer now, which is wild to say, because I used to dream about that sitting in the Bronx. It was me during the pandemic, post pandemic, thinking about how I was going to get ahead, thinking about how I was going to essentially make it out of the ghetto part two. And now I have essentially made it, but I've learned a lot through this journey. So this podcast is adjacent to the launch of my brand, Raw Motherhood. This podcast isn't specifically just for women and moms, it's for everyone because I want everyone to learn and grow and transform and break generational cycles just like I have. However, the brand itself is Raw Motherhood, and essentially, if you've ever cried on the bathroom floor due to the pressures, the stresses, and the struggles of motherhood, this is the place for you. So today's episode is about women, though. It does directly pertain to women, and if you want to be an ally and change the outcome for women, then I would suggest listening up. So first and foremost, women can't do it all. So what do I mean by that? I've realized throughout the culmination from pre-COVID to post-COVID to now that the unfair burden and expectations on women is real. Society expects women to pick up the pieces when all else fails. That's in the household, that's in the workplace, that's in many facets of society. And with these expectations come an unfair mental, physical, and emotional toil on women and mothers and caregivers specifically. And I realized when my life changed in 2020 during COVID, and I was one of the first people to be laid off toward like the beginning / the end of 2020. I say beginning as in beginning of pandemic, end of 2020. I realized that this is going to be a tough one. Like this is going to teach me a lot, and I was going to need to capitalize on my skills, my talents, and my experience in order to support my son. At the time I only had one kid, now I have three. But I realized that it's extreme. It is an extreme issue. And then I started to question, why does America have so many single moms? Like, what is it? Is it the infrastructure? Is it the men? Like, I was questioning, I was thinking, and I was trying to figure out the why. And over the last 5 years, I've been unemployed twice from salaried jobs. Even though I was one of the most skilled, bilingual, super creative, just flexible, I was one of the first people to be laid off. And I realized, like, for one, I'm a natural born like person who's gonna find solutions and who's gonna hustle. But I'm like, I'm not the only one. It tends to be during times of economic distress that the weakest links, so to speak, are the first people to go. So what I mean by that is either people who, they're not going to tell you this, but who might have caregiving responsibilities that take them away from the workplace, who might have a disability that takes them away from the workplace, or things like that. When there's economic distress and there's layoffs happening, sorry to break it to you, but you're probably going to be one of the first people to go unless there's some type of thing to tether you to the company loyalty. These companies don't care. I don't care who needs to hear this. These companies, they don't care about you. It's a rare occasion to find a company that cares about you, that cares about your family, and that cares, genuinely wants you to succeed overall. When it comes layoff season and recession season, like a period we're in right now, you could give 40 years of service and we're sorry, Robert, we gotta lay you off. We're sorry, Bob. We're sorry, Tracy. Sorry, thanks for your service, but we have some bad news. Like, literally, they don't care. So I started to realize that, and then I got into researching like LLCs and what I could do to leverage my skill sets and build my own brand, because the reality is I've always wanted to sit in front of people and talk. And so this year, after I made home buying a reality, one of my major goals, big check mark off the list. No, it is not all it's cracked out to be. Let me just tell y'all right now, you better be ready to buy a home, because if not, you're going to be on the struggle bus. I know, because I'm on the struggle bus, but I'm just saying, after I made that big boom check mark, I decided to really give it my all in spreading the things that I've learned. And so with that being said, I realized that women can't do it all. Throughout my 4 years living in the Bronx and grinding and building an LLC and working with clients and generating income, I realized in New York City that money is everywhere. And you don't have to be in New York City to know this, but money is everywhere. You can get money from doing so many things. You can get money from doing this right here. If you have a message and you have a passion behind it, money is everywhere. So I rebranded myself. I started to work at more of an agency capacity using my LLC, freelancing with clients. And I realized that as a woman and as a mom, it was going to be a never-ending grind. And then boom, I got pregnant. And then that pregnancy was very tumultuous. I didn't have a support system. And then boom, my father passed away. And then it was working through grief and having a baby. I mean, I'm talking about when my first son was born, I went back to school when he was 2 weeks old in 2013 because I was in college at the time and I didn't want to drop out. My second son was born. I was in the middle of a rustling pandemic, and my dad passes away, and I'm thousands of miles from any type of support system, and I'm still grinding and I'm still hustling. And I realized that the nature of my work would likely be contract work, and that the greatest asset that I had was this, my brain, and this, my mouth. If you can talk the talk and you're passionate and you're saying things that people can believe in, then you're going to be able to sell your skill sets. So I realized that learning how, for one, cultivating a set of skills that is desirable, whether it be in social or the digital space or the tech space, and then being able to sell those things is going to be integral to my success as a woman on this planet and as a mother on this planet. Because the reality is, society is going to continue to put the burden of cleaning everything up onto you. If you are a woman and if you are a mom, and men who are in higher spaces and higher places who can promote that woman on their team, or who can give some shine to that mom, or who have an opportunity for someone that they know in their life like this, I believe that you should extend opportunities to the women and women of color and moms of color in your circles before you think about extending them to anyone else. Because the reality is that there is an unfair burden upon women, and it's not changing anytime soon. Like, 4 times, and this is from AmericanProgress.org, it was reported that 4 times as many women dropped out of the labor force in September. Roughly 865,000 women compared with 216,000 men. And this is at the onset of the pandemic. So the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on women and the accompanying child care and school crises was severe. It's severe. It severely set us back. And mind you, we was already set back. We were already set back from before. So then the discussion became, what are we going to do? So here's little old me sitting in the Bronx. The landscape of my work has changed. I'm no longer working in TV. Some of my biggest gigs and jobs and projects had ended. I've had bouts of unemployment. and I'm working a contract job for like a year and a half for a specific client. Then I get another layoff notice beginning of 2023, and I don't know what I'm going to do. So as a member who was a part of this group that was immensely set back, once again, I went back to rely on those skill sets to hustle. And then I found myself pregnant again in 2023. So I'm laid off, I'm pregnant again, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do and how I'm going to navigate this situation, knowing the odds are stacked against me. So continue relying on my skill sets, continue pushing my brand, pushing my agency, it's a more professional consulting, rebranded to be a more agency. But really just sitting with the weight of God, how are you going to deliver me through this period? Because the reality is it's not going to get any easier for anyone, and especially those who are disenfranchised by this, like women and moms. And just understanding the lived experience of that, I knew that there was going to be no excuses, only solutions. It's imperative that this invisible load is recognized, because the reality is, even if a man chooses to leave, the burden is still very much left on the woman. If you have children, the woman still has to handle it. So I wrote a fictional piece on this to set the stage of like a mom I would see in the Bronx. And I'll link it here because I do think that it's important that when you're listening to this, that you feel what some of our real realities are like, what many women in the United States of America's realities are like. We have to make it happen even when you can't. That's with less resources, that's with less money, that's with less time, that's with less support. A lot of us don't have villages. We do not have villages, and I really want y'all to feel this. So if you're not a man, if you're not a woman or a mom or a caregiver, y'all really got to see, like, this is crazy. What can we do as a collective to change this? And so we constantly have people, like situations poking at us. And yes, one could make the argument that everybody has problems, everybody has struggles. Those aren't gender specific, but this is really crazy. The way in which that women are just expected to just be beautiful and be okay and just flow through life and just, ooh, I could do this, I got this. The superwoman complex is real. And we have to stop pushing this narrative that women can do it all, women can do it all, women can do it all, mothers can do it all, moms can do it all. We don't do it all because we want to. We do it all because we have to. And there's certain systematic things in place that won't allow us to succeed and progress if we don't try and do it all. So I'm here to say today that burnout is real. Like these 5 years just getting to this space, this house I'm sitting in recording this, it has been a lot. And I realize I am tired. I am so tired. I'm tired of feeling guilty because of the expectations, because of the struggles, because of the village that I didn't have. And now I have to somehow figure out a way to do it all, to figure out a way to make ends meet, figure out a solution. So please, y'all, I urge you as I close out this first episode, very short but very impactful and very digestible, that we need to reshape the norms and we need to lend a helping hand. If there's a woman, a caregiver, a mother in your life that you feel like maybe you've been a little too harsh on, maybe you haven't extended enough support to, please, 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 give them grace. Give them grace because they really can't do it all. And we need to stop, we need to stop pushing this narrative. And if there is a woman in your life, please tell her thank you today. And please do your research to understand that this has to stop. And for all the moms and women listening to this, there is a space for you. Raw Motherhood. Follow, join the community. It's free to join. www.rawmotherhood.co. Raw Motherhood, just how it is spelled, .co. You can also follow on TikTok at Raw Motherhood __. But please, 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 please understand that there are resources out there for you. Therapy, communities. There are people who love you and want to help. And the biggest thing you can do is build your skill set and find outlets to build your village, because it's really, really important. If you don't have a village, and many of us don't have a village, it's going to fall right here on you. You're going to feel the weight of the world. You're going to feel stressed. You're going to feel sad. So please give yourself some grace. And there are resources for you. And you can follow your dreams, and I'm a testament to that. Struggle bus and all, I'm here today finally doing all the things that I told myself I would do, vision board after vision board. Thank you so much for listening today to the first and very, very important episode. Tune in weekly. I'll be dropping new episodes. Thank you so much.